What's a joke that's so stupid it's funny? Knock knock. Who's there? Quiet horse. Quiet horse who? In a whisper, nay. Why do seagulls fly over the sea? Because if they flew over the bay they'd be bagels. What's the difference between a dirty bus stop and a lobster with breast implants? One's a crusty bus station, the other is a busty crustacean. What's the best thing about Switzerland? Well, the flag's a big plus. Statistically, 6 out of 7 dwarves are not happy. How do you think the unthinkable? With an iceberg. Why are those explorer hats called pith helmets? Because giraffes have very long legs. I bought the world's worst thesaurus today. Not only was it terrible, but it was also terrible. Have you ever smelled mothballs before? How do you get their little legs apart? The leprous hockey game was cancelled due to a face-off in the corner. There are no divorce courts at the North Pole, so when Santa and his wife wanted to split up, they got a semicolon. They're great for separating independent clauses. Why can't he the Pope be cremated? Cause he is alive. A drummer's wife had quadruplets. He wanted to name each one Anna. She asked how they will tell them apart. He replied, Anna 1, Anna 2. What's the difference between Dubai and Abu Dhabi? People in Dubai don't like the Flintstones, but people in Abu Dhabi do. Being told I was deaf was really hard to hear. 2 pretzels were walking down a back alley. One was assaulted. I told my mum that when I'm older I was going to build a car out of spaghetti. You should have seen her face when I drove past her. Why don't chickens wear underwear? Because their pecker is on their face. I stole this from online, but I used it at work and got a bunch of laughs. While using the stepladder, someone said, "What do you need that ladder for?" I replied, "I never knew my real ladder. This is just my stepladder." Steak jokes are a medium well done. A psychic dwarf was committed for murder. After a few days in prison, he broke out. He was a small medium at large. 2 hunters are out in the woods when one of them collapses. He doesn't seem to be breathing and his eyes are glazed. The other guy whips out his phone and calls the emergency services. He gasps, "My friend is dead. What can I do?" The operator says, "Calm down. I can help. First, let's make sure he's dead." There is a silence, then a shot is heard. Back on the phone, the guy says, "Okay, now what?" What did the grape say when the elephant sat on it? Nothing, but it let out a little whine. I used to be good at telling jokes, but now I just punch up the fuck line. Courtesy of my daughter. What do you call a broken can opener? A can tea opener. Why'd the old man fall down the well? Because he couldn't see that well. A blonde and a lawyer are seated next to each other on a flight from Los Angeles to New York. The lawyer asks if she would like to play a fun game. The blonde, tired, just wants to take a nap, so she politely declines and rolls over to the window to catch a few winks. The lawyer persists and explains that the game is easy and a lot of fun. He says, "I ask you a question, and if you don't know the answer, you pay me $5, and vice versa." Again, she declines and tries to get some sleep. The lawyer, now agitated, says, "Okay, if you don't know the answer, you pay me $5, and if I don't know the answer, I will pay you $500. This catches the blonde's attention and, figuring there will be no end to this torment, agrees to the game. The lawyer asks the first question, "What's the distance from the Earth to the Moon?" The blonde doesn't say a word, reaches into her purse, pulls out a $5 bill, and hands it to the lawyer. "Okay," says the lawyer, "your turn." She asks, "What goes up a hill with 3 legs and comes down with 4 legs?" The lawyer, puzzled, Takes out his laptop computer and searches all his references, no answer. He taps into the earphone with his modem and searches the internet and the Library of Congress, no answer. Frustrated, he sends emails to all his friends and co-workers but to no avail. After an hour, he wakes the blonde and hands her $500. The blonde thanks him and turns back to get some more sleep. The lawyer, who is more than a little miffed, stirs the blonde and asks, "Well, what's the answer?" Without a word, the blonde reaches into her purse, hands the lawyer $5, and goes back to sleep. Why did Edward Woodward have so many D's in his name? Why? Because without them he'd have been called War. Most of these jokes got a little snort, but this one made me start giggling like an idiot. Well done. You can't run through a campsite. You can only run because it's past tense. I saw a nice stereo on Craigslist for $1. Seller says the volume is stuck on high. I couldn't turn it down. What do you get when you cross a joke with a rhetorical question? Stared at. I have many jokes about unemployed people. Sadly, none of them work. A husband and wife were driving through Louisiana. As they approached Natchitoches, they started arguing about the pronunciation of the town. They argued back and forth, then they stopped for lunch. At the counter, the husband asked the blonde waitress, "Before we order, could you please settle an argument for us? Would you please pronounce where we are very slowly?" She leaned over the counter and said, "Burger-ing." A man walked into a zoo. There was one dog. It was a Shih Tzu. What did one nut say when it was chasing the other nut? Immakashu. What do you get when you combine a dyslexic, an insomniac, and an agnostic? Someone who lies awake at night wondering if there's a dog. If Russians pronounce B's as V's, then Soviet. What was E.T short for? Because he had little legs. What do you call an alligator in a vest? An investigator. Why do chicken coops have 2 doors? Because if they had 4, they'd be chicken sedans. What do you call a magic dog? A labracadabrador. Q. What is a pirate's favorite letter? Wait for them to say R. A. Yeah. Ye'd think so, but me first love be the C. What's a pirate's least favorite letter? Dear Sir. Your internet access has been terminated due to illegal usage. Sincerely, your service provider. They say smoking kills, but it cures salmon. What do we want? Airplane noises. When do we want them? Nai-ow. What did the janitor say when he jumped out of the closet? Supplies. 2 whales are drunk at a bar. One whale says, "Make long whale cooing noises until everyone around you is pretty uncomfortable. Like I'm not shitting you, at least 1-2 full minutes of weird off-pitch whale noises." The other whale says, "Do a deep inhale like you're about to make more weird whale noises and so that everyone around you almost gets pissed and unfriends you on Facebook. Go home, Frank. You're drunk." This was one of my friend's favorite jokes and got told at his funeral. Another was, 2 fish are in a tank. One says to the other, "You man the guns, I'll drive." Thanks for the memory. I had forgotten these jokes for a bit and am glad to have them back in my life. 2 soldiers are in a tank. One says to the other, "Glug glug 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 glug." 2 cows are standing in a field. The first cow says to the second, "Have you heard about this mad cow disease? It makes cows go crazy and then they die." The second cow replies, "Good thing I'm a helicopter." A priest, a pastor, and a rabbi walk into a bar. The bartender says, "What is this, some kind of joke? Why do scuba divers jump backwards out of the boat?" Because if they jumped forward, they'd still be in the boat. A Mexican magician told his audience he was going to vanish on the count of 3. He counted, dos, and disappeared without a trace. How many Mexicans does it take to screw in a light bulb? Just 1. How many Germans does it take to screw in a light bulb? Just 1. We are very efficient and don't have any humor. 2 Mexicans playing basketball? 1-on-1. Pair of Mexican firefighters? Jose and Hose B. What did Stevie Wonder say to the seagull? I can't see shit. A pirate walks into a bar. He's walking bow-legged, because he has a steering wheel chained between his knees. The bartender asks the obvious, why do you have a steering wheel chained between your legs? The pirate answers, I don't know, but it's driving me nuts. Guy walks up to the widow at her husband's funeral and says, may I just say one word? Sure, she replies. Plethora. The widow says, thanks. That means a lot. Hey, guess what? What? Good guess.